From the first day of high school, Clara and Lucas seemed destined to hate each other. She was known for her intelligence and dedication to her studies, he for his sarcastic humor and the pranks that made even the teachers lose their patience. It was not uncommon to see them exchanging barbs in the hallways, competing for the best grades, or even arguing over who would answer the questions in class first. For everyone, it was clear those two would never be friends. Clara couldn't stand Lucas's mocking way. He always had a ready comment, a joke that made the group laugh, but for her, it crossed the line. Lucas, in turn, thought Clara was too uptight, always worried about rules, schedules, and the teacher's opinions. It was as if they were opposites in everything. She, more reserved. He, outgoing and noisy. Over time, this rivalry became almost a tradition. Their friends were already used to it, and even found it funny when the two started to argue, each defending their point of view tooth and nail. But behind this facade of competition, there was something neither of them admitted. A certain interest in what the other thought, a curiosity about what lay beyond the teasing and the quick responses. Destiny, however, is a master at surprising. In the last year of high school, the literature teacher announced a pair project, and, to everyone's astonishment, Clara and Lucas ended up together. At first, it was a disaster. They could barely agree on the topic of the project, and the meetings were marked by endless discussions. But gradually, something began to change. During the afternoons in the library, among books and notes, Clara realized that Lucas was not just the class clown. He had intelligent opinions, read much more than she imagined, and when he spoke seriously, he could captivate anyone with his ideas. Lucas, in turn, discovered that Clara had a subtle sense of humor, which she hid behind her shyness, and that her dedication was the result of big dreams, a tremendous desire to grow and make a difference. The conversations, once tense, became lighter. They started to have fun together, laughing at silly things and sharing secrets. Lucas talked about the fear of disappointing his parents. Clara spoke about the insecurity of not being good enough. And when the work was finished, they realized they had created something unique, the result of the collaboration and respect they had learned to cultivate. On the day of the presentation, the entire room fell silent. Clara and Lucas spoke with such passion about the chosen book, blending their different perspectives, that even the teacher was moved. They received the highest grade in the class, but more than that, they gained something they didn't expect. A true friendship. From then on, everything changed. Friends began to notice that they were always together, talking during breaks, studying for tests, or simply walking around the courtyard. The previously challenging glances were replaced by shy smiles, and the teasing turned into affectionate playfulness. It was on a rainy afternoon that the unexpected happened. They were sheltered under the school's awning, waiting for the rain to pass. Lucas, a bit awkward, took Clara's hand. She felt her heart race, but she didn't pull her hand away. They stayed there, in silence, listening to the sound of the rain and feeling that something new was beginning. The news spread quickly. "Clara and Lucas? Impossible," said their classmates. But for them, it made perfect sense. They discovered that behind their differences, there was much in common: a love for music, a passion for books, the desire to build a better future. They learned that the greatest love stories don't always start with passionate glances, but sometimes with a rivalry that transforms into admiration and affection. The last year of school flew by. The parties came, the goodbyes, the prom. And on that special day, Lucas surprised Clara with an invitation to dance. She accepted, smiling, and as they twirled around the floor, he whispered, "Who would have thought that all of this started with a fight over a literature assignment?" They laughed together, remembering all the moments when they swore they would never even be friends. Now they were there, dancing side by side, with the certainty that fate had much better plans than either of them could imagine. After graduation, life went on. Clara went to university, and Lucas did too. They chose different paths, but they never stopped supporting each other. The messages continued, the weekend meetings, the late-night conversations. They discovered that when there is respect and friendship, distance cannot separate two hearts that have learned to walk together. Over time, the feeling matured. The first challenges came, the doubts, the shared dreams, But above all, there was the certainty that everything started in an unexpected way. What seemed to be just rivalry was, in fact, the beginning of one of the most beautiful stories they ever lived. Today, when they look back, Clara and Lucas thank fate for crossing their paths, even though it seemed impossible at first. They learned that love can arise from the most unlikely places, and that often what we perceive as dislike is just a way to hide the fear of falling in love. And so, that story of two teenagers who hated each other in school became an example that fate has its own plans, and that sometimes all it takes is to give a chance to the unexpected to live a great love story. If you liked this story, remember, love doesn't always begin like in fairy tales. Often, it arises where we least expect it, transforming rivalry into companionship and differences into bonds that last forever. After all, fate loves to surprise those who believe that everything is already decided. And you? Have you ever lived something similar? Share your story in the comments, and don't forget, the next great love might be closer than you think, maybe even in that colleague you swear you can't stand. Destiny might just be waiting for the right moment to surprise you too. Subscribe to the channel so you don't miss the next stories, and help us reach 1,000 subscribers.